It seems like Max Verstappen has been on the receiving end of things, but he's brought this upon himself. Verstappen has received a lot of backlash from fans and the media for his actions against Hamilton and Perez in the Brazil GP, and while the two biggest streaming services in F1 have defended him, such as Sky F1 and Ziggo Sport, Red Bull fans and even Max fans aren't happy with what the two-time world champion did in Brazil. Therefore, Verstappen had a lot to say about the media and their comments towards him. During the Brazil GP, Verstappen did a couple of things that put his reputation in a downward spiral. Not only did he clash with Hamilton and spark some debate that was furious after last year's finale, but he also managed to get his teammate Perez angry. It goes without saying that Perez didn't deserve what he got, and even though Verstappen had his own reasons for reacting the way he did, they are far from acceptable. After being told that he can pass Perez just to chase Leclerc, Verstappen was then told to give the position back to Perez due to the fact that he needs more points than the champion. After all, Perez is fighting for P2 in the Drivers' Championship, whereas Max has nothing to fight for because he's still a long way from winning. Still, Verstappen didn't want to do this due to some old reasons of his that date from earlier this season. These reasons date from the Monaco GP, where Perez deliberately crashed during the qualifying session in Q3 just so that he could start ahead of Verstappen in P3, just behind both Ferrari drivers. This irritated Verstappen, especially after Perez was prioritized with the tire strategy and was able to win the race due to Ferrari's mistakes in the pit stop. As for Max, he finished third, and at this point Perez was just 15 points behind him in the Drivers' Championship, and the Mexican said multiple times that the championship fight is on. Strangely enough, this was the last race where we saw a competitive version of Perez, although he was able to win Singapore GP, and it was still without Max in the competition. The fans have gone crazy for Verstappen, leaving all kinds of comments about the two-time world champion. Before we go to Verstappen's reaction to these comments, let's read some of them just so you'll understand why Verstappen called them unacceptable. Perez has been nothing except a team player, a good old pal for Verstappen. This is clearly not intelligent to behave like that. You need an entire team to win races and championships. Just goes to prove once and for all, Max Verstappen is a horrible teammate. Pathetic from Verstappen at the end. Checo has obeyed team orders on so many occasions with no resistance. He can't even do it once. Showing his ugly side once again. Who does Max Verstappen think he is? So entitled. Acts like a petulant child. Can't understand why Checo would want to help him again going forward. Max surely owes him for the amount of times Perez has driven, purely to benefit his title challenges the last 2 seasons. It's true that the Red Bull and Perez fans, even the Max ones, aren't happy with how things have unraveled. Nevertheless, this is something that is already in the past, and while Perez said that he's happy the team is moving on, he also added that the crash in Monaco wasn't deliberate, so whatever Max thought he was doing in Brazil wasn't justified at any given point. When it comes to Monaco, deliberate crashes and sabotages to the race can happen, and they're always happening in a controversial manner. But what does Perez have to say about that Saturday in Monaco? Everyone makes mistakes in Monaco, and you can see, these days you have all the information, and you can go and see it already. I nearly crashed into turn 1. Everyone makes mistakes in Monaco in general places in qualifying, and it's not like it was done on purpose. I'm chasing the lap time in Monaco. You can review the whole lap. You can already see that I nearly crashed in turn 1. I'm just giving it everything. It's the last run of Q3. And yeah, people just make mistakes. And that's really it when you're chasing the lap time. But you can already see that from turn 1, I was playing with the throttle, because it was where I was losing the lap time. And you can see already into turn 1 that I nearly lost it already. On top of that, Perez spoke about the situation that transpired in Sao Paulo, adding that the team discussed everything internally, and that's how the situation will remain as of now. An internal one, for the good of the team. Still, the media has a lot to say about Verstappen, and many believe that any driver who is offered a job with Red Bull after Sao Paulo should think twice, given how Verstappen treated Perez there. Verstappen has slammed the media for the derogatory comments made towards him and his ability to not be a good teammate to anyone, calling them unacceptable and disgusting. He also discussed his decision to not let go of Perez, adding it was about something that happened earlier in the season, and I already explained that to Red Bull in Mexico. The team understood and agreed. We went to Brazil and I just thought, we're just going to race, try to get the best possible results, and we had a bit of a miscommunication on the Saturday and Sunday. Nothing had been said to me about a potential swap or whatever. It only came into that last lap that it was said on the radio. They should have known my response already from what I said the week before. After the race in Brazil, we had some good discussions. We put everything on the table and everything has been solved. Due to this miscommunication, Verstappen thinks that the media has created a wrong picture of him as a bad teammate and as a bad person overall. Previously, Verstappen had to fight rumors that he did not deserve to win the 2021 championship because his team violated the budget cap and spent more than $2 million more than the allowed $145 million gap. Verstappen also added that he has a great relationship with Ziggo, and what happened in Brazil won't put that in jeopardy. Continuing, "But after the race I looked very bad in the media. They didn't have the clear picture. But to immediately put me down like that is pretty ridiculous, to be honest, because they don't know how I work within the team, and what the team appreciates about me. So all the things that I've read are pretty disgusting. And also, even more than that, they started attacking my family. They were threatening my sister and my mom, my girlfriend, my dad. And for me, that goes way too far when you don't have the facts of what actually was going on. And that definitely has to stop. If you have a problem with me, that's fine, but don't go after my family because that is just unacceptable." But we move on. Honestly, I have a great relationship with Ziggo. Verstappen also refused to comment as to what happened earlier in the season that made him do all the actions he did in Brazil, and in hindsight, maybe he should have kept his mouth shut on the radio and discussed it internally with the team. Now that everything has been said and done, it's crucial for Red Bull to move into this weekend stronger than ever, and Perez should expect the help of his teammate when it comes to battling for P2 in the Drivers' Championship. That is something that Verstappen himself added, saying that Perez can count on him in Abu Dhabi if he needs the help. Although, to be fair, Perez does need to be faster if he wants to secure the P2 spot in the Drivers' Championship and not be dependent on his teammate in order to secure this spot. But even with that, Perez has sacrificed so many races just so that Verstappen can benefit from them, and being treated this way can never be a good thing to happen to a team, let alone a driver. That's why speculation has started circulating about Perez being replaced by another driver, and now that Ricciardo has signed a reserve driver role with the Austrian team, there could be a massive shakeup in the Red Bull drivers' roster. What do you think is next for Perez and Verstappen? Do you think that the Dutchman was in the right to slam the media like he did? Let us know in the comments below.